Good afternoon. My name is Vince, and I'm the president and founder of Asian Pacific Community Awareness. And I'm here this afternoon with Judge Cynthia Diane Steele, who is running for Congressional District 1. And we're here at the beautiful Dragon Ridge Country Club. Judge Steele, pleasure to have this opportunity to sit down and talk with you and find out a little bit more about you. And one of my questions is how long have you been a judge? And being a judge to me is probably a very difficult position, because where do you draw the line between what is right in the law and some situations might have a little bit more moral or human effect to it? How do you decide that?
Well, thank you. I was a family court judge for 22 years, so it's all emotional and it's all personal, everything that I work on. So the way I draw the line is, even though it's family court, it's not civil court or personal injury or criminal court, you still have to take the same things. You have to take the statutes and the facts, put them together, and see how you should rule on it. So that's how I do it. I just take what statute are they working under, what are the facts they're going to present to me, and then do it that way. So, yeah, that's how I draw my lines.
So, you seem to be very comfortable in the position of being a judge. Why would you want to run for Congress?
There's a couple reasons. I looked around. I retired in 2019. And while I was a judge, I was like laser focused on being a judge. I wasn't going here and there and doing this and that. And a lot of my friends, I just met somebody I hadn't seen in 40 years.
Wow.
While I was on this campaign trail. But I find that our world is kind of in a hurting place right now.
Yeah.
Someone described it to me the other day as where the earth is groaning. We have so much attention that we need to give to our country, to our principles, to our way of life, to our Constitution. And we have sort of been coasting, and now that's why there's so many good candidates out there right now. We all went, hey, wait a minute, I guess I need to step up. And so that's one of my reasons that I'm running.
Yeah, I agree. This country, and that's a good term, the earth is growling and trying to wake us up to realize what's happening. And there are a lot of good candidates out there, and there are candidates out there that don't have any experience at all. That doesn't mean they're not good. I think what us individuals need to do is dig into the candidates, find out their background, find out their skill sets, and are they appropriate for that type of job. I was probably one of the first to vote for a businessman as president, and that was back when Ross Perot was running for president.
Yes.
Because I've been in business my whole life. I worked on Wall Street, and I realized that the country is a business.
It is.
The state is a business.
It is.
And if you don't have, in my opinion, a common sense about business and business knowledge, how can you run it?
Right. I couldn't agree more. And I've always said that. This is a business. You have to be able to have income. You have to manage that income.
Right.
You have to give your services to the people that expect it, which are the citizens. And you have to weigh everything the right way. You have to only take what you need from the citizens to provide what you're supposed to, what your job is for the citizens. So that's totally the appropriate way to look at it.
I remember when I worked at Citibank and I had my first department, the first thing that I did was I went to each section to find out what each section did, how they did it, who was in charge of it. Is that the same way you would handle being in Congress?
Yes. There's two houses in Congress. There's the Senate,
Right.
which is two people from each state, and they basically are the leaders of the state. They aren't representing us. They are the leadership. But the House of Representatives is your representative. It doesn't say the House of Dictators. And it doesn't say the House of Rubber Stamps. it says representative. And so to do the job correctly, you have to go to all the venues, whether you like that venue or you're comfortable in that venue or not, and you have to be open to what's going on there, be able to evaluate it appropriately with the facts, which isn't what I do for a long time. So, and say, okay, the facts say this. Is this a better route to take, or is that a better route to take? And you get that from your constituents. You don't get that from colleagues from New York.
Right. And I won't take that personal because I'm from New York.
Oh, sorry.
But that's okay.
That's right. You did say that. Uh-oh. No, I'm talking about colleagues.
I agree with you because even when I became president of my HOA, I told them, I said, I'm going to run this like a business because I'm responsible now for your HOA dues. And then money has to be spent wisely, and everything has to be cost efficient. And when I was president of the Chamber of Commerce in New Jersey, I looked at a lot of the events that we had, and I decided some of them we do for public relations. Some of them we have to do so we can raise money to hold other events and to help the community out. And I feel that is the same way with politicians. We put you in office to do something for us and to listen to us. And I remember going back to my days talking about sales, and I used to ask a question to some of my students, what makes a good salesperson? And the majority of the answer was someone who can speak well. That is the worst answer you can have. It's not someone who can speak well, it's someone who can listen.
That's right. That's right.
And I think a lot of our politicians today don't listen.
Right.
Do you agree?
If I talk and talk and talk, but I don't listen to what you need first, I can talk blue in the face, and you're not going to need my product. So, yes, that's absolutely accurate. My dad was a salesman, and that's one of the things he taught me. Well, he did a lot of things, but salesman was one of them. And he said, you got to listen to what they want, because if they're saying something and you don't listen, you're going to try to sell them something they don't want, they're going to shut you down right away. So you do have to be the best listener.
I have been saying to the Republican Party for years, and a lot of candidates, you make two mistakes. One, you don't know how to sell yourself, and two, you don't know how to sell the message. And I'll add a third one, many don't have a message. And that's the problem. So you as a candidate, can you answer those two questions? Do you have a message? Do you know how to sell your message?
I have a message, and my message is that we are tired as a community of the federal government going places where it doesn't need to go in the state. That's my biggest message. The Constitution gives the Congress specific job duties, and they have decided to take on some things that belong to the state, and they need to back out. They should get out of our schools, they should get out of our decision making with our Medicaid and our insurance companies. Those are our decisions to make as a state. Because you know what, we fought for that when we were putting together the Constitution, that each individual state would have a right to be unique in its own self and to provide for its citizens what it feels is necessary, what those citizens are asking for, to keep government small and close to the people. And now the government has decided, well, they didn't do the Brown versus Board of Education situation right, so let's open up a Department of Education. That's not their job. That needs to go away. So, yeah, you're exactly right. Sell my message. I have to do it one-on-one because I'm not a big money producer, but I do want to know that I'm sincere about what I'm doing, and I'm going to be held accountable for what I do. And I've done that for 22 years as a judge. So if I wasn't doing something right, I would have not made it that far down the road there. My last term, I wasn't even no opposition. I just, was able to do it. I work as a senior judge, or I did for 3 years after I retired, and it was really nice because we did mediations. So I have to listen to both sides and say, okay, here's where you're trying to go. Here's what you would have to get up to get there. This is what you would have to give up to get there, so that you both are able to accomplish what you need to do in this case. And so we need to take that approach. Now, I don't mean roll over and just give things away. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying we all want safe neighborhoods,
Right.
good health, jobs. We all want to be protected in our community and to have the nation look out for us like they're supposed to.
Right.
So.
Like in business, a lot of people have an idea. An idea is not good unless you execute it. And I think that's the problem. We need to put people in office who know how to execute.
I know how to write bills. I was in the assembly. As a judge, I was able to interpret them and pull them apart and see what they really meant. So I know how to do those things, and that's a very good skill set for someone going to Congress. So I can check that box really easily. You also have to be able to explain what you're doing, and in this day and age, where we have email and free long-distance phone calls. Why aren't we getting more information to our citizens than we are? They find out after the fact that you voted a certain way. Why don't they know that this vote is coming, so that you can solicit information? Because that's how you're going to make the best decision or representation.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that is the main reason why I founded Asian Pacific Community Awareness. Because I realized there was information, especially in the Asian community, that wasn't going out there. So I contacted an assembly person and a senate person, and I said, when there's a bill, no matter what the bill is, I'd like to know about it so I can send it out to my community and let them explain to them about this bill, what it's going to do, and have them contact the appropriate representative to either say pass this bill or don't pass this bill.
Right.
And in our organization, because I'm trying to bring the entire Asian community together, Korean, Japanese, Pacific Islander, Chinese, Korean, and we have representatives from each ethnic group, and everybody has our own circle, because like you said today, everything is technology. And the way to reach people is through social media. And that's what we do. So if you're in Congress and you send me a bill, say XYZ, I would send it out to my community and say, this bill, this is what it's going to do, this is the positive, this is the negative, this is who you need to contact, and then they contact them. And between the 3 Chinese people that are in our group, we can reach over 1,500 Chinese people in the community. So can you imagine what the other people can reach?
Right.
It's better than just one person getting up and speaking to an audience of 20 or 30 people.
And telling them what you have done. Why don't you tell them what you plan to do?
Right.
Or what's on the table? Because that's really how a representative should be. This is what's on the table, what do you think?
Exactly.
That's what it should be.
The perfect example of that is quite a few months ago when Biden said the IRS is going to start monitoring $600. When I put that out to the Asian community, they said to me, Vince, what? Can they do that? I said, yes. It's the government. They can do it unless we speak up, and that's why I'm letting you know. This is not good. You have to write your congressman, your senate, and tell them this is not good. It's the voice of the American people that change our lifestyle.
That's right. That's the only way it changes. Otherwise, you have a few people at the top, and so why do we say that we're a democracy or a republic? Why do we say that if it's just those people at the top, like every other country that's not democratic or representative?
So, as our congressional representative, can you tell the folks viewing how you will go about representing us?
Yes.
I know already that you will listen.
I will listen first, and I will keep you informed of what I'm doing, because that's just a technological thing. You just type something up and it shoots it out to everybody. So that should be done right away and stay in communication. I believe that it would be a good idea to have some organizational input, so to touch base with your organization and different organizations to let them know what I'm up to and see what their
That's
group
an excellent
believes.
idea.
So that's one of the things I plan to do. I plan to, if I'm going to author something, I'm going to say, hey, I'm thinking about doing a bill about this. What do you think? I'd like to do some campaign reform
Yes.
bill. I'd like that, like one of the bills I'd really like to write, and it should be the same way that America treats France or Germany or any other country. You cannot give a politician money in America because we don't want you to influence our politics. Well, take that a step closer to home. If you can't vote for me, you shouldn't be able to give me any money. That way, I'm tied to my constituency. I'm not tied to somebody in Florida who has this big agency who gives me a big campaign contribution, and now I've got to think about whatever their issue is. If that issue is good for my state, I'm going to think about it anyway.
Right.
But I need to be focused on my state, and that's a good way to do it, is, taking it to that level.
If I understand you correctly, your bill would not allow funds from outside to come in because they can't vote for you.
Right.
So the people in the state will have more skin in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent.
And whether, like, I run pretty much a shoestring campaign anyway, but I want to know that these are my people, these are who I'm supposed to represent, and they know that I'm loyal to them.
Mm-hmm.
And why else would I do anything else? So I would like to do that. I am looking at being very aggressive about getting the Congress or federal government out of our state on anything they shouldn't be doing. Because that's just another layer of bureaucracy that we're paying for. Why are we doing that? Let's divide all this money up among the 50 states and let them do their own school stuff.
Right. And I think that's one of the beauties of America, is because the federal government was just there as a, how can I say this, what's the word I'm looking for? As the last resort if we needed help. It was the states that decided how we live and what we do, and it's the people in the states who let the state know what we want.
Right. And it's so true, because I go to church and I tithe and one thing and another, and I'm like, wouldn't it be nice if I had a little extra money if I wanted to give something to a place that has had an earthquake? But no, instead the government's doing it on my behalf. I don't feel good about that because I didn't do it. They just decided they wanted to do it and that they've got the money, and so they're going to spend my money for me. And I want to be the one to do that. But I'm giving them my extra money.
Well, I think that's why we have nonprofit and charity organizations that if they're looking to help what's going on in Ukraine now, you donate to that charity.
Right. Exactly. Or you send your own check. But if you don't have any money,
yes.
If your extra money has been taken in taxes so that the government can do it for you, we're not evaluating that. We're not looking at immigration the way we need to do it.
Yes.
We need to look at immigration on a 2 or 3 or 4 year basis and say, here's the people we need to bring into our country, here's the kinds of resources or types of work skills that we're looking for, and evaluate that, not just 1 million for the last 50 years.
And I can tell you that from my own experience, because in 2000 I had an opportunity to go to China. And before I went there, I had to be inoculated. I had to give them a police report. I had to prove to them that I had money to live on, was not going to live off the government, and I had to show them that I had a skill that they needed. Then my application was accepted or denied according to their rules and regulations. We don't do that in America.
No. Well, because when people come over because they're desperate, I mean, these people aren't coming in just to freeload. They're coming in because their kids are hungry or they're afraid that their kids are going to be harmed in many instances. We need to address that, bring them in appropriately, bring them in faster than 5 years, because after 5 years, people are desperate. They will break the law to take care of their family.
Of course.
And so if we are more proactive and understanding of that, we will have our system set up to accommodate what we need and what they need. But it has to be what we need first, because there's only so much we can do. I love puppies, but I can't save every puppy.
Right.
You know? I mean,
So does my wife. Well, Judge Steele, I'd like to say thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us. And if you want just one quick word to our viewers, and then we will call it an afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much. My quick word to the viewers is, as I heard today in this luncheon I was at, be sure you know who you're voting for, and be sure that that person can follow through with what it is you want them to do. We're in the primary season right now, so you're picking among a lot of really talented people to represent you or to be leadership in these different races that are out there. Make sure that that person can prevail when it comes time for the general election. That's what I really strongly advise you to do, and make sure that they have the skill set to follow through. I just love this state. I will tell you that my other purpose for running, if I had just a second, is that my husband is an immigrant from Bulgaria. He came here on political asylum. And he came here in 1971 while Bulgaria was still communist. So he had to escape and come here. We brought his mother here. We sponsored her here. We do the things that you're supposed to do in the right way you're supposed to do them. So recently my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And it's not reversible. He's going to leave us. And he said to me, I want you to run for Congress. He says, you can do it. You know what needs to be done when you get there. He said, I escaped from communist Bulgaria. I'm not going to die in communist America.
Wow. That's heavy.
It is. And I just so appreciate his attitude and his patriotism, because he could just as well ask me to sit next to him every day, day in and day out, as easily. He said, but we have a daughter and she needs to have a better future.
Well,
so
our prayers are definitely with your husband.
Thank you.
And we wish you well and hope that you come out very strong in the primaries.
Thank you. I hope so too. Thank
Thanks
you
so
very
much,
much for
Judge
taking
Steele.
your time.